Welcome to UNAM Chicago's Cafe Espresso, a space for bilateral conversations with people from all walks of life. Tune in to Spanish Public Radio and follow us on social media. And now your host, Alberto Fonserrada.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alberto Fonserrada, and I am your host here at Cafe Espresso, a program of UNAM Chicago in alliance with Spanish Public Radio. Today, I'm very happy to introduce a friend who has a friend of UNAM Chicago, a friend of mine, and someone that I respect and admire a lot. Welcome, Álvaro Obregón, to this program.
Hola, hola, buenos días. How's everybody doing? How are you doing? It's good to see you.
It's great to see you again. Álvaro Obregón and I go a long way. We worked together in many capacities. I remember when I was at the Mexican consulate, we worked, and you, if I'm not mistaken, you were working for, well, at the Resurrection Project first, doing great community work. But I do remember where probably we worked the most was when you were working for Congressman Chuy Garcia, and he was at the time Cook County Commissioner, and I remember we worked in many capacities there. And today, well, you are the proud president and founder of the Mariachi Project, and welcome to your program.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to be here, and happy to have this conversation with you right now, because we can't be together, but we'll have it, via Zoom right now, and then when time lets up, we'll get back together.
Absolutely. And Alvaro and I also worked at the consulate and with UNAM Chicago on a set of different cultural events and things. And the reason for this program, it's a very special program, because this year it's the 10th anniversary since mariachi music was named to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage in need of preservation. And we're going to talk about this towards the end of this program. But Alvaro, why don't you walk us through a little bit about mariachi music and tell our audience how it started? And this is a fascinating topic.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. So mariachi music, like many other forms of folk music, really started in rural areas of Mexico. The earliest times that people hear about it, it goes back to the 1800s and a little bit even further. And it was written as mariache with an E, and it's tied very closely to the fandango. Now, because of, I think it was because of the sound that they named it such. And there's a coincidence there in that it sounds like marriage in French, but it's not actually, it does not come from the French word, but it is a fusion of some of the indigenous sounds, along with some of the modern instrumentation that came from Spain when Spain came to Mexico. So you hear some things, like some of the string instruments that were not native to what is now Mexico. And people don't know this, but in the beginning of when mariachi music was starting, there was even percussion. So there are some drawings of a tambor, a drum, right? into the mariachi. That continued a little bit in the sense that the harp, which is traditional in mariachi music, there's a harp from the state of Michoacan called arpa grande, and it has a very big bass, unlike the harp from Veracruz, which is a little bit thinner, but the harp from Michoacan is a bigger bass, and people used to use it as percussion. And speaking of Michoacan, a lot of people now look at the state of Jalisco as being the originator of mariachi music. But in fact, no offense to my friends, my good friends from Jalisco, but it's really a regional music. So you have the western states of Michoacan, Colima, Nayarit, and of course Jalisco, where mariachi music really originated from. And that's how it began, and that's how it started to evolve.
That's incredible. And yeah, no offense to Jalisco, but yes, in defense of Jalisco, I will say that it was in 2014 when I was working at the Mexican embassy in Canada that we brought the Orgullo de Jalisco to play in Parliament, and that just caused a big stir. People loved it, and it's part of the big deal with mariachi, right? It brings people together, it unites, and
Absolutely.
It's just an incredible expression.
I think it's one of the most beautiful things, right? Because when you hear about many types of music, it's often, it appeals to different demographics, right? So, oh, those are the oldies, right? My parents, my grandparents used to listen to that music, or the modern music, right, for the younger generation. But mariachi music is really something that ties and brings people together. And as you said, right, when you have performances such as mariachi music as one example, but Mexican folkloric different expressions, it's the most beautiful thing because you have different generations, right? So you see somebody young, and you see the parents, you see the abuelitos, all together enjoying this beautiful tradition and this beautiful music. And we're very proud to be part of that. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, because I think that UNESCO has now recognized mariachi music as being one of those beautiful jewels of humanity.
Exactly. It's for those who don't know, intangible cultural heritage in need of preservation. It's like our I think the gastronomy of if I'm not mistaken, from Michoacan was also named in 2010. So
Yeah.
these are beautiful expression, and Mexico has a lot of those. But mariachi for sure, it's one very emblematic. I know that since you were talking about the mariachi and how it ties with families and all that, it was a very male-dominated expression at one point, but today it's very different. Today it's very diverse. You bring incredible women that sing beautiful and right.
Yeah. So because it was something that came very, very traditional, going back to, as I had mentioned, the late 1800s especially, was when it really started to take off. And and one of the first groups that everybody knows is Mariachi Vargas de Tecalitlan, right? And so it was mostly male dominated. That happened for many, many years. And it was later, one of the big things was here in the United States was when mariachi ensembles were beginning to be formed of just women, because at one point men didn't want to play with women, right? They wanted their male dominated, male dominated ensemble. But women, are half of this world, right? And so women said, we can play this at a high level. And so you saw different expressions of it, whether it is Mariachi Reina, Mariachi Divas in California, Mariachi Mujer 2000, which Laura Sobrino was a founder of. And she really in the United States took it to that next level, or at least she's credited with that. But in Mexico, you see this now too. So one of Mexico's biggest and best groups out there right now is Mariachi Nuevo Tecalitlan from Guadalajara. And they have a Mariachi Femenil Nuevo Tecalitlan. And they're very good, very, very good. And I'm proud to say that one of our former instructors is now a violinist with Mariachi Nuevo Tecalitlan.
Oh wow, that's
Femenil Nuevo Tecalitlan.
Oh yeah, well that's wonderful.
Yep.
So tell us a little more about the original instrumentation. You talked about a little bit about that a little while ago, but a little bit about how it has evolved, mariachi from a rural expression to kind of like a more urban or universal even, right?
Oh, absolutely. So it's hard to imagine mariachi music now without the trumpets, right? So that is the sound that a lot of people associate, whether you love it or you don't, right? There are some people that say, oh my God, those mariachi trumpets. But to us Mexicanos, right, we hear the trumpet, we hear the mariachi sound and the pride comes out. But there were not trumpets at the beginning because it was very rural. You had mostly string instruments. I mentioned at one point there was a percussion, the little tambor that was keeping the compás, right? So the beat. But you had mostly the instrumentation of these string instruments, which were basically three. So it was the violin, the guitarra de golpe, and the guitarrón. Now the guitarrón was closely associated also with the harp. The harp obviously is very big, and so the guitarrón is a bass instrument, which the harp used to perform. As you know, it's very, it has a lot of different. It's capable of producing a lot of different sounds. So it not only can produce the high sounds, but was also the bass. But to carry a big harp everywhere was very difficult. So the guitarrón was used a lot. And then of course there is the vihuela. The vihuela is another guitar-like instrument, and it is it's a little bit higher pitched, right? So you have on the deep end you have the guitarrón, you have the guitar, the guitarra de golpe, and then you have the vihuela. Now the guitarra de golpe is not often used as much anymore, but it is used in some ensembles, and I'm happy to say that at Chicago Mariachi Project we try to blend some of the more modern sound with some of the more traditional sound. So we do have a guitarra de golpe. So I mentioned the harp, which any professional group, real professional group would have. And then lastly, the trumpets, right? So the trumpets were not introduced until when mariachi musicians were taken kind of from that western part of Mexico to Mexico City. And when they went, and you're familiar with XCW, right? Yeah. In Mexico. So not only can you credit almost XCW with trying to modernize the mariachi in terms of sound, they also wanted the musicians to look a little bit more, shall we say, in their eyes, presentable. So whereas you had a lot of because it is folk music, you had them a little bit more dressed down, and then suddenly they had these trajes de charro.
Exactly, right? That's where I was going to go.
Nowadays.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. The traje de charro. It's not a costume, obviously. It's
no. Oh my God.
Yes, exactly.
Do not tell.
No, exactly.
Never tell mariachi. Your costume, because exactly. it is an insult.
Absolutely.
And this is something that we share with. It's very important for us at Chicago Mariachi Project to share this with our students. Now, some of those original, was just cloth, clothing, ropa de manta, as we call in Español, right, in Mexico. Okay. And then what began to happen is that they started getting a little bit more dressed up, and they started using what is a traje de caporal. And at Chicago Mariachi Project, we introduced the traje de caporal as something that would say we are traditional, and that was the face of a lot of our ensemble. Well, that then developed into the traje de charro, or the traje de gala, as it's known amongst mariachi musicians, also, where it is the most beautiful embroidery and silverware. It's really showing the best of, or the highest level. And so for us, for instance, you cannot wear the traje de gala until you have gone through the traje de caporal. And so you have to earn that. We're not going to put on a traje de charro on you just because. And it's something, in martial arts, people look at, as you move up the belt.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And so, that was part of the evolution of how the mariachi musicians dressed. And you see it now. I'm actually kind of proud. As I look around, I think we were the first ensemble to consistently, here in Chicago, to use the traje de caporal. Just, we made it okay, because now I see some of the adult mariachi starting to wear, starting to take off the jacket and now performing with the traje de caporal. And so I think to myself, wow, that's
you planted a seed. Yes, that's awesome. That is beautiful.
And here's the one thing that I think is very important with that. So we also teach a high respect for when you are wearing whatever you're wearing, whether it's a traje de caporal, whether it's just the moño with a white shirt and black pants, whether it's the traje de gala, you must respect it. Because I'll say this, when you look at cultural dress throughout the world, you might say, I think this is European. I'm not sure if it's Central European, Eastern European. I'm not sure which country. Asia, Asian countries. But with the traje de charro, there is no doubt what it represents. And so we teach our students a high value and a high respect for that traje, because we tell them, when you are wearing this, you're not just representing Chicago Mariachi Project. You are representing all of Mexico.
Absolutely.
So you have to be on your best behavior, and you have to show respect for your traje.
Álvaro Obregón, thank you so much. My name is Alberto Fonserrada. I am your host at Café Expresso, a program of UNAM Chicago in alliance with Spanish Public Radio. Thank you.
Reboso de Santa María, mestizas que bailan llenas de alborozo, entre los encantos mil de mi vaquería. Albarrada blanca, bruja de los cosas clásicas de